Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and having a wonderful start to your day, and I hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far. We do have a couple things to talk about in this morning's video. We've had some changes. Yesterday morning we discussed there being a severe weather chances for Thursday. Well, now we're into Wednesday, and those severe weather chances for tomorrow, Thursday, have increased. We went up another category to a slight risk from that marginal risk, level 2 out of 5. So, of course, we need to discuss this, and I know a lot of people are thinking, well, Mitch, I thought you said that we were done for the next several days. Well, I always had my eye on this day. I did not think it would be a huge deal, and I still don't think it'll be a huge deal, but this setup is a little tricky. It's definitely different compared to what's been happening over the last 7 to 10 days. We could have some large hail with this setup, and there could be a risk of some tornadoes. But all in all, do I expect this to be a severe weather outbreak? Absolutely not. But it's definitely a different setup, and I'll explain how it's different as we move throughout the video. So we'll discuss the latest from the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow's severe weather event. Remember, we're not talking about today. We're talking about tomorrow. We'll break it down state by state. We'll discuss some parameters, things like that. And then we'll talk about today's weather, break it down section by section throughout the entire lower 48. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Folks, I am going to get to the point where I'm doing a devotion every single video. I'm now at a point where I do it every other day. I was doing it 2 to 3 times a week, and now I'm just doing it every other day. So I'm really enjoying that. It seems like the feedback in the comments is wonderful, and that others are enjoying doing it too. So I'm going to get to the point where I'm doing it every single day very, very soon. So also want to mention, and I know my intros go on and on. I also want to mention this. I appreciate people who continue to tune in. I know I repeat myself with that over and over again, but you guys have no idea how much that means to me. The people who just continue to tune in. I think yesterday's video was a really good example of how people just do not watch the videos. And it's not just mine, it's other people's videos too. And I'm not going to make some thumbnail to make you just want to jump on the video. And I think the thumbnail just said, calm, stable weather coming in. So it didn't even get 3,000 views. So I do appreciate people who tune in even when the weather's not going insane or crazy or things like that. But I really appreciate the foundation of the channel. So let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the latest outlook for tomorrow's severe weather threat. We have a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. Like I said, the setup with this is just different. Around it is a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather in the dark green. Now, I know I've been showing those other graphics lately, but unfortunately, those graphics section out the country very odd, and it kind of halves the entire severe weather area. So it's very hard to pull up all those graphics. So I thought we would just stick with weather-wise this morning. So hopefully you can see the town names pretty well. But let's zoom into the slight risk area. Once again, it does include Memphis, Jonesboro, Nashville, Jackson, Tennessee, just areas that really need a break. Tupelo down to Greenwood, Columbus, Mississippi, down to Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Huntsville, Florence, over all the way over to Chattanooga in northwest Georgia, all the way up to just south of Paducah, the boot of Missouri, and sections of southwestern Kentucky. Very, very small area of extreme southern Illinois. Then the marginal risk extends all the way up to Cincinnati, all the way back down to the Greenville-Spartanburg area, Asheville, Knoxville, all the way down to Atlanta, Jackson, Meridian, Mississippi, Little Rock, all the way back into areas of Missouri. So, I'll tell you this, this setup is just odd. And really what's driving this is steep lapse rates. And I know that's probably going to throw people for a loop, but we have a lot of cold air aloft with this. The main pattern, the main flow with these storms are going to be going like this, kind of like that. Remember, over the last 10 days, the storms are kind of, cruising like this, things like that. The flow is going to be like this. So there's going to be just enough moisture to surge. The surge is up to just enough kinematics, enough lift in the atmosphere to get these storms going. I mean, it's not going to be very humid outside at all. Dew points are going to be in the 50s when these storms are coming. And just a quick note, when you have dry air in place, but you're still getting severe weather, a lot of times that means there's a lot of cold air around, meaning up above your heads. And when you have a lot of cold air aloft, a big difference between, the temperature at the surface and then the temperatures way above your heads, that difference in temperatures creates a lot of fuel in the atmosphere, what we call CAPE. So that's actually what's going to aid in the spike of storm fuel in these severe weather risk areas. That spike in storm fuel is going to allow for some strong to severe storms. It's going to allow for a hail threat. I think these storms are going to produce a lot of hail. Is it going to be gigantic hail? I doubt it. We're going to have a little bit of a tornado threat, yeah, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But just want to kind of briefly explain the setup. It's interesting. Definitely a cold air aloft kind of deal. But the tornado threats, we do have a 2% risk in Memphis, to Nashville, up to the Butte, Missouri, all the way down to the northern areas of Alabama and Mississippi. A 2% risk. I could absolutely see a 5% risk of severe weather put maybe right in the middle of this. And I could definitely see the risk of tornadoes being pushed a little bit further south, down to Tuscaloosa, down to the middle portions of Mississippi. So right now, a 2% risk of a tornado in this green area. The wind threats, there is a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in a given location. From Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, all the way up to just south of Nashville, all the way back over to Memphis and the sections of eastern Arkansas. So wind threats there. The hail threat, there's no risk of significant hail, 2-inch in diameter or larger, but for now, there is a 15% risk in this yellow area of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. I could see this upgrading maybe to an enhanced risk in its hail driven. So that would mean that you would see something show up. It would mean that you would see most likely red show up on your screen. That would be a 30% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger within 25 miles in any given location range. So I could see that happening, but in my opinion, it would be hail driven, meaning the chances of hail is bumping it up another category from a slight to an enhanced. So it's an interesting little setup tomorrow. There is a risk of severe weather all the way up here. A lot of hail could be present with some of these storms and all the way down to the south. So if we break it down state by state, let's talk about Arkansas first. Most of the state of Arkansas will be fine tomorrow, but let's start off around lunchtime tomorrow. This is getting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we get some storms that pops off in eastern Arkansas, anywhere in eastern Arkansas, really, especially, kind of up here in this region, but shows a couple cells breaking out. The tornado threat is definitely not zero in this area, but large hail, damaging winds will be the biggest threat. And just a couple stronger storms. We'll definitely have some supercells out here, but these supercells will not have a lot of kinematics to really work with wind energy to produce widespread tornadoes. But we got that strong to severe storm, looks like setting up just east of Little Rock, outside of Pine Bluff, and we continue to get this. But most of the energy gets going, points east on the other side of the Mississippi. But we got that strong storm showing up. You see south of Pine Bluff, 8 p.m. This is just one run. That's not going to tell us exactly what's going to happen. By the time we get into 10, 11 p.m., the atmosphere clears out once again, and that's it. So, the HRRR model says, this is really the only area to worry about. But I could see a storm popping up as far west as maybe Little Rock, Hot Springs, Russellville, Conway. But this is definitely the area that I wouldn't say worry about, just to be aware of. So we go up into Missouri. Missouri is kind of similar to Arkansas. Most of the state will be fine. But as we start off at lunchtime, this is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. You see some showers and storms popping up around the St. Louis area. The further north you get, I think the more you lack thermodynamics for severe weather, but you could definitely get some cells producing a lot of hail, in these areas. Will the hail be huge? I doubt it. These storms could produce a lot of hail, but the Storm Prediction Center does mention hail could exceed 1.5 inches to 1 3/4 inches in size. So, it literally says that in their discussion for tomorrow. So just be aware of that. 8 p.m., 9 p.m., just some scattered showers, storms, downpours. Even like a weak thunderstorm could produce hail in this setup. Just a weaker, like a thunder shower. But all in all, it doesn't really show a big deal up here in Missouri. Now, we're going to include sections of southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and Ohio into this too. So you can see portions of your state if you're tuning in from those states in this graphic also. But of course, Kentucky and Tennessee taking up most of the screen here. But, we start off around 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning. There's already some thunderstorms out and about, especially in Tennessee, crossing Middle Tennessee into Eastern Tennessee, some heavy downpours, things like that. And then more storms develop. This is 4 p.m. Look at the storms around Evansville, Paducah, around kind of the middle Kentucky area. We continue to move forward here. We got some storms down here in Middle Tennessee, Central Kentucky, Western Kentucky. All these storms could produce some hail, some gusty winds. Once you get into Kentucky, the severe weather threat as far as the category does begin to lower. But you keep going, you get into 8 p.m. and, you see this stronger cell kind of south of Columbia and Nashville, Tennessee. This could produce a tornado. This could produce a lot of hail. And same thing with these cells. You got to watch out for this kind of cluster of storms kind of moving out of southern Kentucky into, the northern areas of the Cumberland Plateau tomorrow evening. This is 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight tomorrow, and then 1 a.m. One thing I'll mention about these storms, guys, they could actually be really beautiful storms. It's hard to explain, but when you have a lot of dry air in place and you get a day that could produce strong to severe storms, the color contrast in the sky is quite awesome. A lot of times you get really blue skies because the atmosphere is cleared out and you're getting lower dew points. And some of these storms can be, quite beautiful, but, they obviously can pack a punch if they hit you. And, we see days like this, and this is going to be kind of a day like that where, if you're not getting hit by a storm, it'll probably be a pretty nice day. It's just if you get hit by one, you got to definitely get some protection from all the hail that could fall. But, this is tomorrow morning. Down here in Mississippi and Alabama, I'm going to include areas of northwest Georgia too. We're getting to 1 p.m. Not a whole lot going on. Maybe some storms up there in northwestern Georgia. Dalton, be careful. And then look at that strong to severe storm showing up around 3 p.m. just outside of Huntsville and kind of in northeastern areas of Alabama. And that does trail all the way into northwestern Georgia. So we'll have to watch out for some cells kind of early mid-afternoon in this region. But then I want you to watch the northern sections of these states here as kind of like supercells begin to develop really anywhere in northern Mississippi and Alabama. And I'm telling you, I know I keep saying hail, but these could produce a lot of hail and some that could be large. And the storms that could really tap into the best overlapping ingredients, your best surface moisture, if you can get a little bit more of a push of Gulf moisture, dew points maybe sneaking into the low 60s somehow, then it's definitely going to aid in a tornado threat. So if you live in these areas in northern Mississippi and Alabama especially, you get under a tornado warning. Take it serious. I don't think the tornado threat will be huge tomorrow. But, anytime a storm can get just discrete and on its own, it can do some wild stuff. But look at this storm really close to Atlanta, Georgia. It's 8 p.m. We got clusters of storm in the northern sections of Alabama and Mississippi that continue. 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Storms start to blast Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, starting to get into central Alabama, central Mississippi. And we got this line of storms that sweep southward all the way through midnight. This is 1 a.m. tomorrow night. And then this is as far out as we can go. But these storms do start to lose some steam at this point. So, the updraft velocity swath down here in this region, just because you see these slashes of color, I don't mean we're going to get just widespread tornadoes. This indicates, stronger updrafts. We could get a lot of rotation with these storms, but, is this surface rotation, is it latching to the surface? We're going to get tornadoes. There'll be a shot at them. But I would really look at this and say, hey, chance of large hail, a lot of hail with these storms is certainly present. So be aware of that. And then and you can tell, it's pinpointing the states that have that slight risk, level 2 out of 5. And so if we look at the shot of damaging winds, the HRRR model run, it's just kind of picking up on these individual lines of storms that this particular run shows. So it's showing some really strong winds developing with that line of storms that gets going here in Alabama and Mississippi later tomorrow evening. So you got some 30, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts that are possible. But anywhere in these areas where you have that 15% risk of damaging winds, there's obviously a risk of damaging winds. So let's go back to this and let's switch it. Doing some of this on the fly, guys. Hope you don't mind. But it does show some, strong updrafts up here in Kentucky and Tennessee. I mean, even some in southern Indiana, southern Illinois. So, it tells me that we're going to get a shot at some large hail up here also. Maybe a quick spin up is possible, especially down into Tennessee. So Kentucky could get it also. So just be aware of this. Some gusty winds are possible also in these areas for sure. So that's tomorrow's severe weather event. Just be aware. Like I said, we could upgrade to an enhanced risk, but I do think it'll be driven off hail in my opinion. Maybe winds too. But talking about today's weather, this particular radar does show a lot of snow flying around up here in the UP of Michigan. Let me know what is actually hitting the ground. But this is definitely more widespread in coverage if this is hitting the ground than what models we're picking up on, I believe. But we do have some rain flying around here or falling. Some rain falling here in the Midwest, areas of Missouri, getting into Illinois. A little bit of snow showing up maybe on the colder side of this. Let me know what you're seeing at the Indiana-Illinois border. Scattered flakes flying around here in the Northeast. It's a chilly morning all the way down to the south. And we got a little bit of energy kind of just cruising on the top of this ridge up here in the western U.S. So watch as warnings and advisories. That hot pink color, that's red flag warning. So it continues to be very dry. It's windy. And the fire danger is certainly present, so be aware of that. This purple, kind of dark shade of purple, that is freeze warning, so it's very cold out there right now. I think Virginia is getting a pretty brutal freeze right now, so hopefully it's not going to cause much damage to anything, but that is ongoing. All these light shades of green, this is flood warnings from all the rain that we got over the last several days up against those rivers and creeks. The chance of severe weather today is very low. They just have a general risk of thunderstorms across this light green color. I wouldn't be surprised if they, add a marginal risk for today, but for now they don't have it. And then there's no chance of flash flooding. What's less than 5%? So we'll break it down section by section. Southeast today, it's quiet. We take it to this afternoon. Look at all the energy dancing off the coast of the Southeast. That front has just really stalled off the coast. If it was a little bit deeper, like in late May, June, this is what really gets early season tropical activity going. And by the way, we're getting closer to hurricane season, guys. It's just right around the corner. It's pretty wild. So, but anyways, we keep this going. We get a little bit of rain that kind of makes its way through Kentucky overnight and makes it all the way into the Cumberland Plateau, eastern Kentucky, West Virginia as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Could get a little bit of coastal rain showers against Georgia and the northeast coastline of Florida. But all in all, a very nice day across the Southeast. The Northeast, we're getting the scattered flakes out there. We could get more widespread showers of snow up here in the Adirondacks and then northern Vermont, New Hampshire. And then we get a larger system that moves in. It's not very large, but it's larger than the one you're dealing with today. So that moves in. So you're going to wake up tomorrow morning to some light rain across Ohio, areas of western PA, West Virginia, getting into western Maryland, northern VA, some rain. We'll welcome you guys for your Thursday morning. And this could eventually hit a little bit of cold air. So, we certainly could get a little bit of snow mixing in with this rain tomorrow morning across favorite areas of PA and New York. The south central U.S., it's a pretty quiet day. Just enjoy your Thursday. Wednesday. If at any point I've called today Thursday, I do apologize. I wanted to do that in the beginning of the video about 1 million times. I think I said good Thursday morning a ton to try to start this video, and I had to start over because I think about like 5 to 10 times this morning because I kept saying good Thursday morning. But anyways, your Wednesday will be nice. Up here in the north central U.S., we'll continue to deal with a little bit of snow activity. Then warm air will surge in, but we will get some rain showers surging through areas of the Midwest. Chicago will kind of have a damp afternoon. This will eventually this evening make it into Detroit, Cleveland, rest of Ohio. Once you get south of this, more so scattered activity, and we could get some thunderstorms. It could produce some small hail up here in eastern North Dakota, areas of Minnesota. Of course, it's still pretty cold up here this time of the year, so there's a lot of cold air aloft. Just not cold enough at the surface for snow, but could get a little bit of snow in northeast Minnesota tomorrow morning. And we just kind of continue to get this kind of avenue of light energy that continues to swing down here with this trough that's really digging across the eastern U.S. So, the western U.S., pretty quiet weather. Nice day for just about everybody. It's warming up nicely. There's another system that will begin to get closer to the Pacific Northwest coastline as we are getting into tomorrow morning. But today is a pretty nice day of weather. Temperatures, you continue to get this trough setting up over portions of the eastern U.S., so it is cooler, more of a spring day across the southeast. It's like more, I wouldn't call it winter-like because it's much colder in the winter than this, but it is definitely still, you're definitely still hanging on to a winter chill across areas of the Great Lakes region, the Northeast. It's starting to warm up, though, in the Great Lakes region. Here's about big surge of warm air, so the western deep south well into the 70s, and, you switch it to the western half of the U.S., and we're getting a surge of warmth all the way up into Minnesota. I mean, we're getting some 60s in this region of western Minnesota. The Dakotas will be nice, and once you get south, 60s, 70s, 80s, even some 90s all the way down to Texas. It's nice in the southwest. It's warm. The rest of the western U.S. is starting to warm up, but still a little cool. But that's all I got. I do not have an update on that snow event potential for the Northeast this weekend. But I will get you another update on that tomorrow. It just kind of dawned on me that I didn't have any graphics pulled up for it. So I do apologize for that. But all in all, that's all I got. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. It's definitely a slower time right now. We're going to have these individual setups like tomorrow's severe weather setup that we'll have to talk about, but it's definitely entering a slower time. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I do appreciate people who continue to tune in even in the slower times. You guys are truly the foundation of my channel. One thing I've not mentioned in a while is, if you can consider joining the channel, it's a lot, especially once you get into later in the spring, summer, when things really slow down, the views are really low, and you're just on cruise control until hurricane season. So I haven't asked people to join the channel or asked to consider joining the channel in quite some time. So I appreciate people who just join without me even saying anything. I can't tell you, I notice it. I can't tell you how much it means. So thank you to the members of the channel. I really appreciate y'all supporting me. So that's all I got. I'm just kind of rambling. Thank you for everything. God bless and have a wonderful day.